Okay, today we are going to talk about ratios. So this is chapter 6, section 1. A ratio is two numbers compared by division. A ratio is two numbers compared by division. So on a field trip, we need 3 teachers for every 25 students. We can write a ratio 3 different ways. So you have some notes that are already filled out like this, and you're going to fill in the blanks. So we can write it in words. And in words, I want to go teachers to students. So if I say teachers to students, I'm going to say 3 to 25. Because I need 3 teachers for every 25 students. And we write it 3 to 25. I can write it with symbols. I can say 3 colon 25. 3 colon 25. And you can write a ratio as a fraction. You can write it as a fraction because a fraction is 2 numbers with a division bar in between, so it's 2 numbers being compared by division. So you can say 3 over 25. Now I can also write the ratio, and if they ask me to write a ratio comparing students to teachers instead of teachers to students. So if I wanted to reverse it and say students to teachers, I'm going to say in words, I would say 25 to 3. With symbols, I'm going to use 25 colon 3. And using a fraction, of course, it would be 25 over 3. So you can see that a ratio is similar to a fraction. You can even write it as a fraction, 3 over 25, 25 over 3. We never ever turn it into a mixed number. We always leave it as 2 numbers being compared by division. We can write it in words, we can write it as with symbols, and we can write it as a fraction. Any of those are acceptable. Sometimes they ask you for a specific way. Let's try another one. So to make some party mix, I need 4 cups of cereal to 2 cups of pretzels. 4 cups of cereal to 2 cups of pretzels. So let's write a ratio for cereal to pretzels. Let's do it in words, with symbols, and as a fraction. Alright, so I'm going to say 4 cups to 4 to 2, and I could say 4 colon 2, and I could say 4 over 2. Now you might be saying, well, we always simplified these. Well, we're going to learn that you can actually simplify ratios also, but you never just put it as a 2. It's always 2 numbers compared by division. And we're going to talk about simplifying in a minute, but so this one you would say 2 to 1. 2 to 1, 2 to 1, but you'd never just call it 2. You always have to have 2 numbers being compared. Then if I did pretzels to cereal, pretzels to cereal, I could have 2 to 4, 2 colon 4, and 2 over 4. So that's just a simple way of writing a ratio in 3 different ways, in words, in symbols, and as a fraction. Given a situation, I could describe that situation in, like it's asked here, cereal to pretzels or pretzels to cereal. All right, let's continue on. So equal ratios are like equal fractions. They're kind of similar. So if you recall, if I had 1/2 as a fraction, if I'm talking about this as a fraction, 1/2, if I put a factor of 3 in, I'd multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 3, I'd get 3 over 6. I could multiply the top by 3 again, and the bottom by 3, and get 9 over 18. Those are equal fractions. You can do the same thing when you're talking about ratios. And we could put factors of 3 in here. I took 2/3. Another example is 2/3. I can put a factor of 3 in, and I get 6 over 9. The 2/3 and 6/9 are the same thing. They just are, this one's cut into 3 pieces, and I have 2 of them. This is cut into 9 pieces, and I have 6 of them. And with fractions, we can also simplify. We can take factors out. So 12 and 18 both have a 2 in it. So if I take a 2 out, I get 6. If I take a 2 out of there, I get 9. And then I see there's another 3 in both of these. So if I take a 3 out, I get 2. And if I divide 9 by 3, I get 3. So just like you can simplify fractions, we can also simplify ratios. If I have, so let's look at it as a ratio. And we're going to write it with symbols. 12 to 3. 12 to 3. If I want to put a factor of 2 in that, I could say it's 24 to 6. I multiply 12 by 2 and 3 by 2. 12 times 2 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6. If I had, I could also take a factor of 3 out. I could simplify this. If I took 3 out of here, I'd get 4. If I took 3 out of there, I'd get 1. So you can put factors in and you can take factors out. But I wouldn't just call it 4. I have to say it's 4 to 1. Alright? How about 8 to 22? What do you see? What can I take out of both of 8 and 22? Well, I can take a 2 out. If I take a 2 out, it's the same. 8 to 22 is the same as 4 to 11. I could put a factor of 2 in if I wanted to. And that could be, I could double this 8 and double that. So that's 16 to 44. So ratios and fractions have some similar things you can do, and that's putting factors in and taking factors out, simplifying them. But you would always leave it as 2 numbers. You would never just put 1 number. If one of them turns into 1, like 4 turns into a 1, it's going to still be 4 to 1. All right, let's try this. We can also write the ratios in simplest form. So if I have 8 bats to 12 baseballs, we're going to write the ratio of bats to balls in simplest form. So, well, bats to balls is 8 to 12, so I can say 8 to 12, and then I can see that I have a 4 in both of them. If I take a 4 out of here, I get 2, and a 4 out of there, I get 3. So in simplest form, the ratio of 8 to 12 is 2 to 3. If I give you a ratio of 4 to 20, if I gave you the ratio of 4 to 20 and I said, hey, write this in simplest form, well, I can take a 4 out of both of them, and it's going to be 1 to 5. 1 to 5. And if I gave you a ratio that was written like a fraction, I see it's top heavy, but I'm not ever going to turn it into a mixed number. I'm just going to leave it as 2 numbers compared by division. So a 50 and a 45 both have what? A 5. And so when I take a 5 out of both of them, I'm going to end up with 10 to 9. All right, and this is our first introduction to ratios.